All right, so here's the scoop. Thanks to those who are continuing to tune in, like always. But I have a feeling that some of you are not watching these videos. So if you are actually listening and not just copying down what you see on the screen, then you'll know to put a volleyball, give your best attempt at a sketch of a volleyball, put it by the name, date, hour section. I'll give you a bonus point. So maybe throughout these videos, I'll just keep throwing some weird things at you. If you have it on there, I know you were actually listening, and you're getting more out of these videos than people who choose not to. All right, so for today, you've got a volleyball. Best shots at drawing it by the name, date, and hour there. Okay, so for this warm-up, how'd you get to school today? You probably said a bus or a car or a bike. And unless you walked here, your vehicle had circular wheels. So wheels and circles are all around us. We're diving more into circles today. So a circle is a set of all points in a plane at a given distance, the radius from a given point, the center in the plane. We name a circle by its center. Okay, so if you look at this circle on the bicycle, with center O, we would just call it circle O. When you see a dot at the center of a circle, you can assume that it represents the center point. Okay, so a segment from the center to the circle is called a radius. Its length is also called the radius. So go ahead and sketch out a circle. That dot in the middle is going to be our center. And if we go from the center to a point on the circle, this is just the radius. The diameter is a line segment containing the center with its endpoints on the circle. The length of this segment is also called the diameter. So here's my center. The diameter goes through the center point. A lot of times people get diameter and radius mixed up. If you look at the length of the words, diameter is longer, it's going the whole way across the circle. Radius is just going halfway across the circle. Maybe that'll help you remember. Okay, if two or more circles are congruent, they have the same radius. We call them, if two or more circles have the same radius, they are congruent. Two or more coplanar circles have the same center. We call these concentric circles. Okay, so here, dating myself a bit, we have some records. This is how people used to play music. So if you look at the center of all of these records to a point on the circle, if we were to measure it, they would all have the same radius. So they're all the same shape. These are your congruent circles. Okay, a dartboard is a great example of concentric circles. Okay, here's our center, the bullseye. Each of these circles shares the same center. They're not the same size, but they are concentric. So an arc of a circle is 2 points on the circle and the continuous or the unbroken part of the circle between the 2 points. So just like on a segment, the 2 points are called the endpoints of the arc. Here we have endpoint A and endpoint B. Okay, so we write arc AB. It's kind of hard to see here. You could either say AB with this arc symbol over it, or just like a segment with the endpoints, you can flip their order. You could either have a semicircle, a minor arc, or a major arc. So a semicircle is an arc of a circle whose endpoints are the endpoints of the diameter. Okay, so if we look here, we need 3 letters to name it. Started at A. Sorry. Went through point P and ended with point D. So we call the semicircle arc APD. Okay, a minor arc is going to be less than half the circle. Since it's small, since it's minor, we only need 2 letters to name it. So Here's minor arc AP, or you could have said minor arc PA. Then a major arc is an arc of a circle that's longer than a semicircle. So it's got to go more than half of the way around the circle. So now we're starting at P, going through point A, and ending at point D. Did I miss a section? Yes. You can name minor arcs with the letters of the two endpoints. The order doesn't matter. For semicircles and major arcs, you need 3 points to make it clear which arc you mean. The first and last letters are the endpoints, and the middle letter is any other point on the arc. Okay, so those arcs have a degree measure, just like angles do. So first full circle has an arc measure of 360 degrees. Semicircle, since that's half, would have an arc measure of 180 degrees. If it was an arc covering 1/3 of the circle, right? Think of those clock problems. It has a measure of 120 degrees and so on. So you can find the arc measure by measuring the central angle. So maybe sketching a picture here. This is our circle. A central angle is the angle with its vertex at the center of the circle and sides passing through the endpoints of the arc. So this is our angle. Let's say this was 120 degrees. That means the arc measure would also be 120 degrees. It's about 1/3 of the circle. Okay. A chord is a segment with endpoints on the circle. So I'm going to sketch out a picture, squeeze it in there if there's room. A secant is a line with 2 points on the circle. And a tangent is a line with only 1 point on the circle. So those would be helpful sketches to throw right in your vocab notebook. Okay, so here's example 1. What is the name of this circle? If we look at the center, that's called point O, so we'd call it circle O. Name 2 radii. Those are segments going from the center to a point on the circle. We've got OB as one. We have segment OC as one. Is the bolded arc a minor arc, a major arc, or a semicircle? Oops. Well, it's less than half around the circle. So this would just be a minor arc. We can name that as arc BC, or if you want to flip those around, CB, but we just need 2 letters there. If we look at our central angle, the vertex is at the center. Let's use 3 letters here. Angle BO, what was that one? C? Or you could have said angle COB. What's the measure of the bolded arc? Well, here, if the central angle measure was 45, I know that this bolded arc measure is 45 degrees. Is the dotted arc a minor arc, a major arc, or a semicircle? This would be a major arc since it's going more than halfway around the circle. If we name the dotted arc, since it's a major arc, we need 3 letters to name it. One endpoint was B, it went through point D, and the other endpoint was C. Or we could have said CDB. Okay, if we're looking at that, have the same central angle, angle BOC. The measure of the dotted arc then be 315 degrees. That's where it's showing us right here. Okay, now we want to draw in segment BC. So I'll kind of erase some of these other crazies going on up here. Okay, another name for that, since it connected 2 points on the circle, that is really a chord. If we drew in line DC, what's another name for this line? Come on. Okay, so now it's a line going through 2 points on the circle. This would be called a secant. And then we need to draw in line EC. So we're going to have to add in point E. Here's point C. It only touched the circle in one place. This would be a tangent.